Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Lizzie and today we're going to be ranking and probably roasting some of the worst book covers known to man, woman or otherwise identifying person. So today we're going to be looking at Wordsworth Classics. Now this is an actually published series of classics which they've basically taken any public domain book, slapped a stock footage cover on the top and sold it for dirt cheap, and you somehow still feel like you're being ripped off because the covers are that bad. But it would be no fun to just talk about them and roast them. We are going to be tier ranking them. Yay! So first of all, here are the tiers that we have. So the top tier, acceptable. These books meet the bare minimum of just being inoffensive and hopefully bearing some relation to the book that is inside. The second tier, something's not quite right. So on the whole, it's pretty good, but there's just something a little bit unsettling about it and we can't quite put our finger on what that might be. Or maybe we can. We will see. The third tier, look who read the title, the person who designed this book cover, that's who. Some of these covers, they clearly read the title and nothing else. So that's what this whole tier is dedicated to, where they've read the title, but clearly know nothing about the book beyond that very basic premise. The next tier, put Photoshop down. You've gone too far. You're past the point of no return. Past the point of no return. That's where we are with these ones. And they clearly knew how to use Photoshop and they were not going to stop using Photoshop until it was way too late. And the very last tier, because yes, there is one below that one. Have you ever seen a human? And this is for the books where you start to doubt that if the person, or maybe robot who designed this, has ever seen a human before. Let's find out. So without any further ado, let's get into ranking some of these book covers. I thought we would start off with a fairly inoffensive one, and that is The Old Curiosity Shop by Charles Dickens. So on one level, you know, they've read the title, they've understood the brief, and it's a shop of things, but it just doesn't quite sit right. And I will say there is another version of this, which I hope is a later edition because it's a vast improvement. But this one, I mean, the window doesn't quite sit right in the frame of the picture, and it doesn't match the black background in the slightest. I haven't read this book, so I couldn't say whether the items in the shop bear any relation to the story. But you know, it's an old curiosity shop. It does give us that, but it's just messily done. So I'm going to put this one in something's not quite right. In it goes. Next up is Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Now I have read Treasure Island, and it would have been a much shorter book if the treasure had just been there on the beach. The photoshopping isn't great. I'm not going to pretend like I could do a better job. Like, I clearly couldn't, but my job is not to design book covers. You know, they've seen the title, they've got, it's an island, there's treasure, we're going to put the treasure on the island. And yeah, they've cut out most of the plot, I think, if the treasure was that easily found. So we're going to put that one in. Look who read the title. I feel like every time I say that it's going to get more patronising, but I kind of don't care. Next up is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. That beloved story about sisterhood, or if this cover is to be believed, 4 women from different eras all attending different events. I mean, there's 4 of them, and they're all women, and they're all from the past. Apart from that, I can't really say much. But to be fair, all of these people look like they have the same faces that they were originally photographed with, which we can't say for all of the books on this list. So I'm going to put this one into put Photoshop down. It's a bit much. I don't know why they couldn't have found a picture of 4 women who were clearly originally in the same room when this photograph was taken, but yeah, it's not the best one. Next up, I feel like in their more recent editions, they have improved. I want to give them credit for, you know, my credit's due. So next up, and this is actually my favourite one on the list, 1984 by George Orwell, is my favourite cover. It's a very good book. I don't know if it's my favourite. It's up there. It's definitely one of the best of these ones I've read. But I want to give them credit for having clearly read the book, understood the book, and created a cool piece of art based on the book that includes lots of different things from the book. It's almost like they've designed an effective book cover. So for that, 1984 is going into acceptable. It has met all the minimum requirements of a book cover. Next up, let's go on some adventures. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea by Jules Verne. Now, I admit, when I first saw this, I was impressed. I was thinking, you know, I'd looked through a lot of terrible covers at this stage, and I thought, this is great. They've clearly read the book. They're recreating the most famous scene from the book. The artwork isn't stunning, but like, it adequately depicts the most famous scene from this book. And then I looked a bit closer, and I realised that's an octopus. And they fight a squid. It was so close. It was so close. I'm going to put this in Something's Not Quite Right. The something being the sea monster, which is a fairly fundamental part of the plot. But they were close. There's tentacles, I guess. Right, now this one is... this one always gets to me. Tom Sawyer and Huckleberry Finn by Mark Twain. I have so many questions. Let's start at the top. So clearly neither of these two models have the face they originally started with in the photo. Like, someone else's face has been put onto their faces. And it's so badly done. And then the one hand is like some like weird octopus arm all the way around. And then, like, were they clearly weren't in the same room when this photograph was taken. That I have so many questions. So many. And it's so unsettling, and the more you look at it, the worse it gets. It's really, really something. I know they only charge like $1.99 for these books, but honestly, that's too much. That is too much. This one is definitely going into, have you ever seen a human? Okay, so next up we have Sons and Lovers by D.H. Lawrence. Now, I haven't read this book. That being said, I can't see how this cover in any way relates to the actual book. It's a pregnant woman. Again, I haven't read the book. Maybe there is a pregnant character, so I'm not going to comment on that. My bigger gripe is with the fact that, like, her belly is kind of see-through and has flowers in it. Also, she's clearly not from the era this book was written in, but that's by the by compared to the flower pregnancy. This is the only D.H. Lawrence one on this list, but every D.H. Lawrence book they publish has a similar cover of like a woman who looks like she's doing her Instagram photo shoot, who is like half faded out to show the flowers in the background. It's a weird trend they've gone for. Like, it was clearly a deliberate decision if they've done all of D.H. Lawrence books it's the same. But why? So I'm going to put this one, I don't know. I'm not sure. I think I'm going to put this in, put Photoshop down. It's, yeah, it's definitely too bad for something's not quite right. Like, something's definitely not right and you should see a doctor. This is so bad. Okay, next up, the granddaddy of them all, one of the worst covers they've ever produced, Middlemarch by George Eliot. Where to even begin? Where to begin? So, okay, so these two people are supposedly sitting on the same bit of fence. She seems to have discovered the power of levitation. His legs don't look quite right. Again, they're from different eras. He looks like a lad who's gone to a do, you know, and they were like formal wear, and he was like, I'm gonna put my braces on. That's what he looks like. And I don't even know what era she's supposed to be from. Their heads, I don't think were the original heads of those models. And just nothing is right. None of it. It's just, this definitely has to go into, have you ever seen a human? And the next one, at first glance, I really liked this cover, and it is North and South by Elizabeth Gaskell. And I thought, that's a nice picture, you know, a nice stock image. They just stuck on the cover. You know, when they're selling it for so cheap, as long as it's inoffensive, which most of these are not, as long as it's inoffensive, it's fine, you know, like just slap something on the cover. But then I started thinking about it and I was like, they haven't read this book. Because, and like, I don't think you would need to know much about the book to know that a compass bears no relation to the plot. So it's called North and South because it's about the societal differences across the North-South divide. And they've clearly gone North and South. This is about like adventure and travel and like nautical journeys, not about how the south of England is completely out of touch with the north. I feel like they should have just slapped a map of the North-South divide on this. I've mocked up my own. Let me know what you think. Is it better or worse than the aesthetically pleasing but altogether misleading compass? So this one is going into, look who read the title. They should be so proud of themselves. Okay, we have another true abomination under Nuggin, and that is The Age of Innocence by Edith Wharton. Again, 3 people from 3 different eras dressed for different occasions. Again, none of them have the same face it looked like they started off with. Like, one of them is going to a royal garden party. One of them is like going hunting or something, I guess. And one of them looks like she's just rolled out of bed. I have no idea. I have so many questions. This definitely goes into, have you ever seen a human? Now, to give them credit, they've re-released Age of Innocence with an improved cover, which at first glance is, you know, a nice cover. It's a nice cover. It's got a nice stock picture. And it's not, I say nice. This is a comparative exercise, you know? So we've got a stock image on the cover and it's fine, you know. I don't begrudge them that because these books, they're out of copyright. They're 100% profit. So, you know, feel free to just slap something on the cover, sell it out, that's fine. Except the stock image they've used is like clearly from a bridal catalogue, and I mean, I haven't read The Age of Innocence, but I know that this is definitely not the right era. Not that the previous one was, but this one is definitely not. So on the whole, much better than the first one in every regard, except that the first one at least attempted to make it look historical. So we're going to put this one in. Something's not quite right here. Next up, we need a whole tier for this one, I think, called how far can we go without Disney suing us? And it's The Hunchback of Notre-Dame by Victor Hugo. So, okay, they've got Notre-Dame on the cover. That's a good start. You get points for that. The bar is so low. There's a shadowy figure that is a hunchback, and there is a Halloween costume knockoff of Esmeralda from the Disney movie, who I don't think has a face. And none of it goes together. Not even the sky. Like, it's very... how should I put this? It's quite a sort of slapdash attitude, you know, they've just gone Hunchback of Notre-Dame, Notre-Dame, Hunchback, oh, and remind people that it's a Disney movie, done. So I guess in that instance, it has succeeded in that without the title, I would still know what book this is. Maybe that should be a good game, just doing the pictures and seeing if you can guess the book. That's another video. But I'm going to put this one, I don't know, put Photoshop down. Like, there's just too much going on. Yeah, and also, you better hope that the mouse doesn't find out about this. Okay, so this next one actually I think gets better the more you look at it, and that is the Iliad, Homer's Iliad. And at first glance, like, this is clearly terrible. Like, this is awful. But to be fair, I quite like the sort of structure of it, of having the circle and the two kind of, you know, the foreground and the background, as a, you know, from a compositional perspective, not the worst one we've seen today. The hero at the front is, I have no words. Yeah, I have no words for that. I like kind of like, they've clearly gone, it's ancient Greece, let's just stick a temple in the back to let us know if the hot pant wearing soldier wasn't enough. They've put in a temple to remind us that it's ancient Greece. And if that wasn't enough, we've got the nice little Greek pattern around the edge. So they've really tried with this one. I feel like a lot of effort went in. And it is better than the others. So where to put it? I'm going to put this one in something's not quite right. Like, it's unsettling, but every aspect of it does bear relation to the story or to the setting, even in just the vaguest way. Next up, now they had like 3-4 different versions of this book. So I just picked this one for today, and I have more saved if we ever do a repeat of this video, which I'm down for because these are hilarious. And that is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. And this, I see this and it reminds me of, like, it makes me think of identical twins who had a great idea for a Halloween costume. And to be fair, if this was a Halloween costume, it would be a great Halloween costume. If there are any identical twins watching this, you should do this as a Halloween costume. It would be hilarious. As a book cover, I don't think it really portrays the sort of inner themes of the book, but it does get the plot. You know, the plot is there on the cover. We know exactly what we're dealing with. Originally I was thinking something's not quite right, but it might actually go into acceptable. No, it's got to go something's not quite right because they've done the bare minimum in aging up the portrait. Like, they've literally just stuck a fake beard on and been like, aha, you're old now. And yeah, definitely missed. They've included the part about the portrait aging. They haven't included the part about the portrait, like, you know, portraying all of his sins or something. Next up, it's another vaguely acceptable, inoffensive cover, and that is Anna Karenina by Tolstoy. It's just a nice watercolour of a lady. I haven't read this book, but, you know, I see that cover and I think that is fine. It can go into acceptable. We have 2 left, and the next one is some more Jules Verne, and that is Around the World in 80 Days. And there is a lot going on. Feels like a bit of a Victorian fever dream. they've just taken literally any artwork they had that vaguely related to this book and put it all together and put it on a cover. But again, compositionally, like, it's not terrible, it's not the worst, but there's just a lot going on. There's just too much going on. So I think I'm going to put this in, put Photoshop down. And the last one is, this one gets me every time. It's the funniest thing I've ever seen. It's Crime and Punishment. And this is the guy. I have not read this book. I don't know what the plot is or anything. But where to begin? Where to begin? The head is just, I think the body, the head and the face were all different pictures. And they've all been put into one body. And it does not hold up. It's not great. This one, absolutely 100%. Have you ever seen a human? There we go. I think I'm still recovering from that last one. There we go. I think that's enough of looking at terrible book covers for the day. I will leave a link to my tier ranking in the description, so if you want to also judge these books, then have a go and let me know what you thought of all these interesting book covers. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, then feel free to give it a like, give it a comment, and let me know if you would like me to do some more of these, because there are way more covers than this in the Wordsworth Classics series. So yes, do let me know if you found this entertaining and would like some more. All of my social media links, etc. are in the description, so you can go say hi to me on other parts of the internet as well. And I will see you next time. Bye!